The Life of General Robert E. Lee, with personal insights, anecdotes, and reflections from his life. We will explore various aspects of his character, the impressions he left on others, and his own thoughts as recorded in letters and diaries. Early life and family. Lee grew up in a family that valued honor, tradition, and duty. His father, Henry Lighthorse Harry Lee, had been a celebrated cavalry commander in the Revolutionary War, but his financial troubles cast a shadow over Robert's early years. Lee's mother, Hill Carter Lee, instilled in him the importance of duty and piety, which deeply influenced his disciplined and principled nature. Growing up, he would often remark in his letters how much his mother meant to him and how her guidance shaped his life. At West Point, a man of discipline, one of the most notable aspects of Lee's time at the United States Military Academy at West Point was his remarkable discipline. Lee graduated second in his class in 1829 and famously did so without ever receiving a demerit, an incredible feat in an institution that was notorious for its strict rules. Lee's commitment to duty and honor, which he carried throughout his life, earned him the admiration of his peers. His fellow cadets often remarked on his quiet strength. One story that stands out from his time at West Point is that Lee once intervened to prevent a young cadet from being expelled for misconduct. Rather than simply enforcing the rules, Lee took time to counsel the cadet and convince the authorities to give him a second chance. This early glimpse into Lee's character shows his sense of fairness and mentorship, traits that would endear him to soldiers under his command later in life. Anecdotes from the Mexican-American War. During the Mexican-American War, Lee's talent for strategy and reconnaissance came to the forefront. He served as an engineer and was often sent into dangerous situations to scout enemy positions. In one instance, during the Battle of Cerro Gordo in 1847, Lee discovered a hidden path that allowed American forces to outflank the Mexican army. General Winfield Scott, Lee's commanding officer, later remarked that Lee's discovery had been instrumental to their victory and that Lee was the very best soldier that I ever saw in the field. A poignant recollection from this time came from one of Lee's fellow officers, who recalled that after a long and grueling march, Lee refused to rest until his men were taken care of. While the other officers slept, Lee could be seen tending to the needs of his soldiers, ensuring they had food and water. This act of leadership by example earned him deep respect, and many soldiers would follow him faithfully in later years, even when the odds were stacked against them. The decision to fight for Virginia. One of the most difficult decisions Lee faced in his life was whether to fight for the Union or to side with his home state of Virginia when the Civil War broke out. In a letter to his son Custis in April 1861, Lee expressed the anguish he felt over the impending conflict. "I can anticipate no greater calamity for the country than a dissolution of the Union. It would be an accumulation of all the evils we complain of, and I am willing to sacrifice everything but honor for its preservation. I hope, therefore, that all constitutional means will be exhausted before there is a resort to force. Secession is nothing but revolution." Despite his personal belief in the Union, Lee's loyalty to Virginia was paramount. When Virginia seceded, he resigned from the U.S. Army, writing in his resignation letter, "I cannot raise my hand against my birthplace, my home, my children." Leadership and care for his soldiers. Once Lee took command of the Confederate Army of Northern Virginia, he quickly gained a reputation as a leader who cared deeply for the welfare of his men. Soldiers frequently recalled how Lee would ride among the ranks, often stopping to speak with them, listen to their concerns, and encourage them. A soldier under Lee's command once wrote home, "General Lee spoke to us as though he was our father. He would say, 'Do your duty and everything will be well in the end.' We felt that he knew us, cared for us, and would lead us rightly." During the harsh winter of 1863, Lee's troops were starving and ill-equipped. While other generals might have enjoyed relative comfort, Lee lived in a simple tent, sharing in the hardships of his men. One officer remembered how Lee declined to eat special provisions that had been set aside for him, insisting instead on sharing the meager rations of the common soldiers. Lee's reminiscences of Gettysburg. In the years after the war, Lee rarely spoke about his military career, but when asked about Gettysburg, one of the war's most decisive battles. His reflections were filled with humility and sorrow. In a letter to Confederate President Jefferson Davis after the defeat at Gettysburg, Lee took full responsibility. "I am alone to blame in perhaps expecting too much of my troops. I relied too much on their valor and failed to direct them properly. The fault is mine." Despite the criticisms he faced, many of Lee's men continued to hold him in the highest regard. General George Pickett, whose division led the doomed charge at Gettysburg, once bitterly remarked, "That old man, he's ruined my division." Yet even Pickett, in his heart, knew that Lee had led as best he could under impossible circumstances. The surrender at Appomattox. The end of the war came at Appomattox Courthouse on April 9, 1865. Lee's final surrender to General Ulysses S. Grant was marked by dignity and mutual respect between the two men. Grant later recalled how Lee appeared immaculate, even in defeat, dressed in his finest uniform. Lee had been prepared for the worst, but Grant offered generous terms that allowed Confederate soldiers to return home with their horses and personal belongings. After the surrender, Lee spoke to his men one final time, telling them, "Men, we have fought through the war together. I have done the best I could for you. My heart is too full to say more." Tears were shed by many of the battle-hardened soldiers who had fought alongside Lee for years. Post-war reflections and presidency of Washington College. In the years after the war, Lee became the president of Washington College in Lexington, Virginia, now Washington and Lee University. He focused on education and reconciliation, urging Southerners to rebuild and move forward. He wrote to a friend, "I cannot trust myself to speak of the present or future. I know only that we must do our duty, whatever that may be, and leave the rest to God." During his tenure as president, Lee became a father figure to the students, many of whom were veterans of the war. He was known for walking around campus, greeting students with kind words, and encouraging them to focus on their studies. Legacy and final reflections. In the last years of his life, Lee rarely spoke about the war. His diaries and letters show a man who was deeply reflective, perhaps even haunted by the past. In a letter to his wife, Mary Custis Lee, he wrote, "I have struggled so hard to bear the mantle of responsibility that was placed on me. I trust in the Lord's will, for he knows the hearts of men. May he grant peace to our troubled land." Robert E. Lee passed away on October 12, 1870, but his legacy continued to live on. His humility, sense of duty, and care for his men made him a revered figure, though modern reevaluations of his role in defending the Confederacy and its system of slavery complicate his place in history. Even in the last days of his life, as he faced illness and growing weakness, Lee retained his quiet dignity. His final words were said to be, "Strike the tent, a soldier's farewell." PolySpeaks for You incorporates voice control features that allow users to perform essential actions like opening, saving, and creating new documents, as well as interacting with font and document editing dialogues. This is particularly helpful for individuals with disabilities, enabling hands-free operation and more accessible content management. Below are some of the voice control functionalities designed for ease of use. 1. Voice-commanded document handling. Open document. Users can say commands like "open document," followed by the file name or location, and Poly will open the document for them. Save document. Commands like "save document as" or "save" allow the user to save their work without needing to manually click on buttons. Poly can also handle saving with specific file names or locations as dictated. A new document. A simple voice command such as "create new document" or "start new file" will initiate a fresh document in the app. A closed document. Commands like "close document" or "exit" can be used to close the current document. 2. Font dialog voice controls. Font style. Users can control font settings by saying "change font to Arial" or "set font at Times New Roman." This would change the selected text's font style. A font size. Commands like "increase font size" or "decrease font size" adjust the text size according to user preferences. A font color. Users can use commands such as "set font color to red" or "change font to blue" to personalize the text color. 3. Voice-commanded document editing. A text formatting, commands like bold text, italicized text, underline text, or strikeout text allow users to edit their document easily. For example, saying bold this text will apply bold formatting to the selected text. Alignment. Users can command alignment changes by saying align left, align center, or align right. A text insertion. A user can say insert text, and the software will insert the given text at the current cursor position. A text navigation. Commands such as go to the top, scroll down, or move to the next paragraph enable users to navigate the document without the need for a mouse or keyboard. 4. Voice-activated help and assistance. Help commands. Users can ask questions like, "What can I do?" or "Help me with saving" to receive guidance on specific tasks. Poly can offer step-by-step instructions based on voice queries. A undo/redo. Voice commands such as undo or redo let users correct mistakes or revert to previous actions in their document. 5. Advanced features for accessibility. Speech recognition training. For improved accuracy, Poly can guide users through the Windows speech recognition training process, adapting to their voice patterns and improving dictation accuracy. A text-to-speech for editing. Users can have text read aloud to them while editing, making it easier to spot errors and refine their documents. These voice-controlled features make Poly Speaks for You an accessible tool for individuals with disabilities, particularly those with visual impairments, mobility issues, or other conditions that limit their ability to use traditional input devices. The hands-free operation helps users maintain independence and improve their document management and editing experience. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to stay updated with more content. The creator of Poly Speaks for You has always been driven by a passion for giving a voice to those who need it most. Whether it's through text-to-speech technology or voice recognition, the goal has always been to create tools that help individuals, especially those with disabilities or learning challenges, communicate and interact with the world in a way that is meaningful and empowering. The stories shared, such as those about the sailors aboard the HMS Victory, are not just about reliving history, they are about the power of voice. Through Poly Speaks for You, the creator saw an opportunity to use storytelling as a medium to convey courage, strength, and resilience, much like the sailors of the past. These stories are intended to inspire and engage users, reminding them of the importance of their voices, both literally and metaphorically. The idea behind these stories is to showcase how technology, particularly speech technology, can be a tool for preserving history, while also empowering users with the capability to share their own narratives. By blending history with technology, the creator of Poly Speaks for You aims to demonstrate how powerful a voice can be in shaping and sharing our world, past and present. In a sense, these stories represent more than just entertainment. They are a way for the creator to give a voice to history, to connect with users in a deeply human way, and to remind them that their voices matter, whether they are telling their own stories or those of others. The creator's work in developing Poly Speaks for You is never just about making a functional tool. It was about making sure that every voice had the power to be heard. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to stay updated with more content. This content has been adapted from the powerful features of Poly Speaks for You, South Africa's leading accessibility software. Learn more at www.polyspeaksforyou.co.za. We invite you to support this meaningful dyslexic initiative, crafted and developed by an individual who personally understands the challenges of dyslexia.